All right. Um, so, have closed captioning available, and you should be able to access that at the bottom of your screen. The format of our presentation today will be as follows. I will introduce the speakers beginning with their brief bio, and we've been given 90 minutes for our panel discussion, which should allow us time to answer any questions that you may have at the end of our presentation. So please post any questions you have in the chat box, and we will hopefully get to all of them. And we encourage you to post your questions because we have a diverse group of speakers with compelling topics. Out of respect for the speakers, please remain muted unless you are called on. And thank you for your consideration. So again, thank you for joining us and welcome to our discussion, which is Empowering Rural Women with Education. Today we are honored to participate in the United Nations, UN Women's 66th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. My name is Susan Stasi, and I am the founder and CEO of Rose Academies, Uganda. We have a dynamic lineup of speakers that will each cover different topics within the umbrella of the agreed upon conclusions of the 61st session. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker and Rose Academy's Country Program Director, Ms. Claire Animegaisha. So let me begin with talking a little bit about her first. Claire has over 15 years of experience in customer service, business operations, and program management. Her background in community development and journalism has led her to a successful career in nonprofit management. As Rose Academies Uganda's program director, she is responsible for program management, public relations, and staff coordination of all our educational programs. Under her direction, she has developed our Rose Uganda Fellowship Program into a recognized provider of critical healthcare education, our Rose Uganda Creative Arts team into a professional film production group that is creating educational videos and documentaries for our awareness campaigns, and our expansion of services in Soroti, where we are offering skills development opportunities to oppressed and disabled women. So thank you for being here, Claire, and take the floor.
Thank you so much. Everyone, I'm really so humbled to be here talking to you today. And yeah, it's 3 p.m. here in Uganda. I'm sure most of the people must still be confused about the time, but they will join us later. Yes, I'm Claire Animegaisha, and I'm the Program Director of Rose Academies here in Uganda. Yeah, so today discussing what we at Rose Academies are doing to address the challenges faced by mothers due to lack of knowledge about health and nutrition, which is the major contributing cause of the high rates of infant mortality, malnutrition, maternal mortality, and other preventable deaths. Yes, so I'll begin with our programs. And the first program that we started was the Rose Uganda Fellowship Program. Yeah, so this program was developed to provide leadership skills and career opportunities for our youth, mostly in our catchment areas. And so this trained to use our Android tablets, which contain application programs and teaching files that cover our healthcare trainings. And we also use these tablets as methods of conducting our surveys and assessments. So this platform has really provided for most of our fellows a platform to conduct research, mostly for their graduate programs. It has also enabled them to gain the real world experience in their respective fields of study. And this has really prepared prepared most of them to gain experience to do real jobs out here. So our fellows actually go in the field, and they meet groups of people that come to attend our trainings, and these are the same fellows that conduct the trainings. They are helped by our community-based volunteers who are also who also double as VHTs, or village health teams, and these do the mobilization and the follow-up, and then the fellows do the teaching. Yes, since 2020, we have had about 26 fellows, and of these, 15 are girls or women, ladies. And for our community-based volunteers, I may say 75% of them are women. And this has helped them like take up the roles of I can't say taking over the men and everything, but they help in mobilizing and taking up leadership skills in the communities. Yes, so the other program is our Omana Thrive program. This is our major program. And Omana Thrive. So Omana, when I say Omana here in our local, that is our local name for a baby or a child. Yes, so this program looks at a woman from hard-to-reach populations that lack consistent access of healthcare, education, and it helps to equip them with knowledge that will promote neonatal health. Here in our homes in Uganda, in most of the rural villages, a mother is the one that takes care of everything and everybody in the household. So regardless of if the man has left something at home, he comes back and he wants food. So it is up to the woman to figure it out, to look for the food. Yes, so this same woman takes care of the babies and grows the food for home use and everything else. So our program helps this woman to know how to very well take care of her house or her home. And with malnutrition being on the rise in most of the rural areas, we are actually helping out these mothers with our vegetable gardening trainings, and these are basically to help boost their dietary practices, and also some women are actually doing it as a commercial, for commercial purposes. So while they grow their vegetables behind their small kitchen, they also get some vegetables and take them and sell to get money. Then we also train mothers on how to feed and care for themselves during and after pregnancy. So how we do this is we normally have, we connect mothers to, especially those that are in hard-to-reach areas, we connect them to health centers through our community-based outreaches. And so while they come for maybe antenatal and immunization for those with kids, we teach them, this is what you're supposed to eat, this is how you're supposed to feed during your pregnancy and after pregnancy. Yes, and then we also teach complementary feeding, proper complementary feeding for those with babies. After my presentation, I will also share a video of that has pictures mostly of how these babies look like. Most of them are really malnourished, and it is evident. So so we teach these mothers how to prepare porridge for them that is enriched. Yes, and it helps the babies grow well. So some of the mothers have also taken it up themselves, and then the composite flour, and some of them are selling it to get extra income. Then we also teach proper breastfeeding, and this is mostly to the teen mothers and young mothers who have no idea on how or what to do, because here in Africa, especially in the rural communities, a girl child is groomed in preparation for her role as a wife, and without any knowledge on motherhood and child upbringing, in the end, the children suffer. Their babies end up suffering. So this is why teenage pregnancies and child marriages are still a major health and social concern here in Uganda. And it has really, really affected the girl child's education. So it is so sad that actually in a home, an auntie is somewhere waiting for this girl to see her first period. And once she gets her first menstruation period, then this auntie will run and report to the elders, to the other family members that, hey, she's ready to go. And most of them are married off when they are 13, 14, and they have no idea what to do. So those are the ones we meet while in the field. Then we have also just recently launched our career skills development program. So this is actually meant to help these teen girls, teen mothers with skills to be able to support themselves and their children. And they are really, really so happy and taking up our skills development. We started with tailoring, and this is actually mostly with our community, for the persons with disabilities community, where we have got so many teen mothers signing up for the skills development program. And they are trying to take it up, like using the available resources that they have at their homes, like old pieces of cloth, to use as learning materials, yes, for starters. Then the others that have dropped out of school for very many reasons, and they have also been just in their homes without anything to do, also now taking up the skills development program. Then we initiated the computer literacy class, and we have had 3 girls. Yes, we have had 3 girls who have graduated from this. Then we have our Head Help, which is also the program that teaches about menstruation, or the menstrual cycle and sexual development. In this, we teach about mostly how to do the reusable pads, which most of the girls have also taken up, and they are selling these pads to get some money. Then we teach about menstrual hygiene management. How do they clean themselves? How do they take care of themselves? In the villages, the mothers, the women don't have the energy or the time to talk to these girls about menstruation. So most of them have no idea, because when a girl starts menstruating, they have no idea on what to do. And most of them face issues, a lot of issues when they go to school. They laugh at them, and most of them get frustrated and end up getting married. Yes, so the benefits of this program has really, we have had girls who have stayed in school because now they know how to make pads and they can take care of themselves. Yes, some people have made it a business, and yeah, we have very, very good feedback from this. So I have limited time. I would love to give another speaker time as well. I will share my video, and hopefully Susan will also share it, and you will see more of what we are doing here in Uganda. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Claire. in consideration of the time, let's go on to Mastula first, and then if we have time, we'll show your video a little bit later. So next speaker that I have is Mastula Nalibwama, and she's an amazing young woman. She is our Rose Uganda program leader in the Wakiso district of Uganda. She's a champion as far as I'm concerned, as she demonstrates that with tenacity and determination, a woman with disabilities fully capable as a community leader and global change maker. She is university educated, yet due to her hearing impairment, she was unsuccessful in finding employment. Today, besides being an integral team player, as program leader for our Wakiso team, she teaches cosmetology, is the executive director of the Uganda Federation of the Hard of Hearing, is the East African representative for the African Federation of the Hard of Hearing, a member of the International Federation of the Hard of Hearing of Young People, and a recent graduate of MIUSA program. Mastula will present to us her thoughts on the challenges of being a disabled woman in sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you, Mastula. Do you want me to share your slides?
Yes, you can share my slides.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. I modified your slides a bit. Hope you don't mind. I'm not hearing you, Mastula. Your sound isn't coming through. There we go. I can hear some sound.
Are you hearing me now?
Now I can hear you. Oh, it's going off. You've frozen now.
You can hear. And I use the. All right, so I can go on.
Okay.
Okay. Sharing the.
Did we lose her? We might have lost her. So I'm just going to go over her slides that she sent to me earlier. We were worried that we might have some network problems, which is standard. So what she's talking about is the difficulties and challenges that a woman with disabilities has in accessing sexual reproductive health services, and not just in Wakiso.
Okay, so
oh, there she is. All right.
The biggest challenge is the internet end. It is giving me a hard time. So let me try to. Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you now.
Can hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. So sorry about the inconvenience.
No problem.
Technical problems. And I'm glad that now you can be able to hear me. I'll move straight to the challenges women with disabilities are facing in Uganda. So we can move to the second slide. Uh, there are very many challenges, as you can see. Women with disabilities have biases from the health workers. Most of the time, you realize that they don't accept women with disabilities to enjoy their sexual reproductive health. They see it as something which is not acceptable by society. They look at them as a burden, and they believe that they are not supposed to enjoy their natural reproductive health as well. So it is a bigger challenge to see that women with disabilities are not accepted in our community because of their nature. And another challenge is much more about the long distance. Most of the health centers we have been visiting, they are located in remote areas. And I realized that women with disabilities, especially those who have a physical impairments, moving from their home to those distant health centers gives them a hard time. So what normally happens, they resort to whatever healthy option is available, which may not even be of good quality. We also realize that those health centers, since they are very few in the place, they are long quiz. So if somebody cannot stand for so long, for those who have hearing impairment, just like myself, when you are in those long lines, you cannot even be able to hear what the health assistant is saying, because most of the time they just read out your name. So when they read, that's when you have to enter and visit the doctor. There is also another challenge whereby most of these health services we are talking about, they are very expensive, they are not affordable. And persons with disabilities, especially women and girls, they are financially poor. So most of their healthy problems go unattended to because they cannot afford the services. When we look at the access to information, it is a bigger challenge. Those who are blind, their prescriptions are written, they cannot even take them to the pharmacies to get the rightful medication. Deaf, blind are not catered for. And you realize that everything is not in an accessible format for different kinds of disabilities. So all those varying challenges are making it very complicated for women and girls with disabilities. But when we look at the UN Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, it emphasizes right to health, which is supposed to be equitable, affordable to each and every person. But if we look at the challenges, you realize that we are being left out. When we look at the PWDs Act in Uganda, they have a provision, number 7. It is talk about affordable health services, but are they affordable? Are they accessible? It is still a question hanging there. And how many have lost their lives because they cannot be able to access such services? However, as a Rose Fellow, we've been doing something in remote areas, working with Wachiso District team, with my fellow team. We have tried to see that we empower women and girls with disabilities with knowledge, because most of the time they need knowledge to understand where can they be able to access such services, how they can prevent and live their own life in a healthy lifestyles. So as our program coordinator said, most of our knowledge empowerment activities, they rotate around healthy nutrition, whereby we teach them how to make some gardens, like backyard gardens. Even as someone in a wheelchair can be able to move around, check on her garden, get some greens, vegetables, which can keep them healthy. so that they can avoid these very expensive health services which are not accessible and which are not good sometimes. So we have tried to do something to see that we bring women on board. They are empowered. They also can be able to have knowledge about their health generally, how they can prevent some illness, and how they can act fast in case they have a particular problem. As a Rose Fellow, I have benefited a lot together with my team members because our group, we have been with two hard of hearing members. We have Aisha, Brenda, they are both hard of hearing. They have been empowered with this rare opportunity whereby through imparting knowledge to others, they also learn. We have been able to conduct research with experts like our nutritionist, Haidari. We have learned a lot, and we are able to move out and impart knowledge to others. We have learned how to use different technology and applications. So it has been a great opportunity. And personally, I feel Rose Academy has done a lot to my leadership career. I was able to acquire a scholarship for Mobility International, USA, after getting a recommendation from our CEO, Susan Stasi. Thank you so much. You did something to make a change for me. This is a scholarship I tried for back 3 years back, if not 4 years back, and I failed for the first time. But this round, because of the added voluntary work I was doing with Rose Academy, my application was accepted and I successfully completed. I already have my certificate and I'm just looking forward for other opportunities which are related to Mobility International USA. So as women with disabilities in Uganda, we are so proud of Rose Academies. They are making a change in our lives. We are leaders who are empowered with knowledge, and we have gained confidence to move out in the society because now we believe we can. This is something we never thought of. Interacting with the community has opened so many opportunities for us. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm so proud of our mentor, Susan Stasi, as well as our program coordinator in Uganda for identifying persons with disabilities and engaging them in such development and leadership careers. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mastula. That was awesome. Um, and now I'm turning this over to. I'm so proud of my team. I just can't begin to even tell you how amazing each one of them are. This is just, for me, this is evidence that what we're doing, it's working. And so now I'm going to turn this over to my working partner. It's over here in the United States, actually within a mile or two from my office and home, Dr. Michelle Parker. And she is the Assistant Director of the Public Health Program at Santa Clara University and an adjunct lecturer. She received her Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and Cell Biology from the University of California, San Diego, and her PhD in Cancer Biology from the University of Arizona. Her research focuses on cross-disciplinary solutions for global health problems and collaborates with teams in the School of Engineering to bring health education, low-cost medical technology, and mental health awareness to marginalized communities in regions of Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. Dr. Parker is our working partner in the development of application programs that we at Rose Academies use to teach the rural poor women in Uganda, as Claire already mentioned. I will now hand the mic over to her as she introduces her 3 students that are developing the basis for a new app that will be released later this year. All right, Michelle.
Thank you, Susan. It is such an honor for my students and I to be presenting on this panel with all of you today. I'd like to begin before I introduce the students, to give a little background about how we fit into the work done by Rose Academies in Uganda. So as a professor, I have the joy of preparing young minds to take on the many social and health challenges in our world today. And my partnership with Rose Academies allows me to educate my students in a very unique and very profound way that's very different than the usual classroom setting. My students have the privilege of learning from Susan and from Claire about the women and the families that they are designing for. Our engineers can build more accessible products for our target population, thanks to Rose Academies' on-the-ground community experience and our public health expertise. It's this cross-disciplinary collaboration that allows our apps to teach and empower young women in Uganda. So as both Claire and Susan mentioned, we began this collaboration about 4 years ago with the development of Heady Help, which is our menstruation education app. It was designed to be image-based with culturally appropriate artwork and minimal words to be applicable to low literacy settings. We followed that up with our very successful Omana Thrive app that teaches new mothers how to care for their newborns in an effort to reduce neonatal mortality. And today we'll be presenting our newest work in progress, Senga Safe. This project was originally designed to be a teaching tool about cervical cancer. But as my students learned more about the lack of reproductive health education and the staggering gender inequities and the prevalence of teenage pregnancies, this app took on a life of its own. My students are now seamlessly weaving together multiple themes around safe sex practices and reproductive education and cervical cancer prevention to create a very user-friendly, easy to digest teaching tool. So let me introduce the next 3 speakers, my very fabulous students who are developing Senga Safe. So the first is Anisha Disney. She's a senior at Santa Clara University, studying psychology and public health. After graduation, she plans to work for Insight Global, which is a staffing and recruiting company, hopefully in the healthcare division. Madison Hoffman is a senior majoring in sociology with minors in public health and philosophy. She is passionate about addressing health disparities nationwide as well as globally, and plans on attending nursing school in the fall. And Kristen Hanlon is also a senior with a double major of biology and public health. And Kristen is interested in women's reproductive and sexual health and plans to pursue a career in medicine. So with that, I am going to share my screen so that you can see the slides. And it's loading. There we go. You guys see the slides? All right, Anisha, I'll have you begin.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anisha Disney, excuse me, and I will be presenting with Kristen and Madison, excuse me, from the Public Health Department at Santa Clara University on Senga Safe, an app addressing women's health in Uganda.
I'm trying to switch slides.
Perfect. So as Dr. Parker mentioned, our app has shifted forms, but our main purpose of our app is to address the high rates of cervical cancer in Uganda. As you can see in the map here, Uganda faces concerningly high rates of cervical cancer. In 2020, the incidence rate was 56.2 women for every 100,000, which, as you can see, is one of the highest incidence rates in Africa. Additionally, it has been recorded that up to 33.6% of women have HPV. It's also been found that 27% of adolescent women in Uganda between the ages of 15 and 19 become pregnant. Lastly, Uganda faces a true lack of comprehensive sex education, which is a risk factor for these high rates of cervical cancer, HPV, and early pregnancies. The consequences for the lack of education are severe, and our aim is to reduce those consequences through the education provided from our app. We have three main themes for the curriculum of our app. First, we focus on puberty education and safe sex. Specific topics covered in this theme are staying in school after starting to menstruate, minimizing teenage pregnancies, combating stigma regarding conversations around the body and sex, and encouraging birth control or other contraceptive methods, along with child spacing. Our second theme is community and relationship building. Specifically, we want to encourage communicating with a trusted source about these taboo topics, and we aim to empower these young women with the trust to advocate for themselves when it comes to staying healthy. Our third and final theme is cervical cancer, and our goal is to minimize HPV and cervical cancer prevention in Uganda. The method of doing so will be through education about early screening and treatment methods. Our app is innovative in four main ways. First, women will be taught on a battery-powered Android tablet that is low cost and low tech, which is necessary for our target population. The app will be picture-based with little text given, being that our audience is primarily in a low literacy community. Our app is culturally relevant because the storyline revolves around the Senga, which is a term for auntie or someone who looks after you in Uganda. We are using this example of a family relationship that is familiar to them with the Senga. We are overcoming taboos through talking about sex. However, we are being culturally sensitive in how we present the female body. And lastly, our app is innovative because we are including a comprehensive list of women's health topics in education. We have three modules that are focused on different aspects of women's health education. Our first module is called Becoming a Woman, and our educational goals are centered around puberty education, female anatomy, overall communication about your body and health, along with empowerment. Our second module is called Senga Story, where we focus on the importance of healthy relationships, safe sex, preventative care, contraceptive use, STIs, and child spacing. Our third and final module is called Staying Safe from Cervical Cancer. Here, we focus on symptoms, treatments, and prevention. Specifically for prevention, we focus on early screening and HPV vaccines.
We'd now like to share with you our first module and explain how and why we decided what to convey. In this first scene and throughout the entire app, we are really building on the close relationship that young girls have with their Sengas. So not only is our app culturally relevant in that it revolves around the Senga, but this scene also intends to touch on the importance of communication and being able to talk to a trusted source. We also made sure that we depicted the landscape of rural Uganda accurately. So that is why you see single-story buildings and dirt-covered grounds. In our second scene, our main character, Afia, who is just beginning puberty, has started her period and is feeling concerned about the blood she's found on her underwear. Her trusted Senga comes to visit and reassures her that getting her period is a normal and healthy part of life. So here again, we are actively empowering young girls to talk to those around them and communicate about these sensitive issues with those they trust. Because Afia is beginning puberty, Senga takes the time to explain to her how her body is going to change. She tells Afia that she'll become taller and develop breasts and hips. From Senga's explanation, Afia gains a basic understanding of how her body will develop and can even imagine what her body will look like as she ages. Senga also takes the time to explain the different parts of the female anatomy to Afia. In these scenes, we are not only educating young girls and promoting communication, but we are also attempting to reduce the stigma associated with sexual and reproductive health. We want young women to understand and feel comfortable with their anatomy and know that the uterus is where the baby grows, that the uterine lining is where their period comes from, that the cervix is where cancer can grow, and that the vagina leads to the outside of the body. Although Afia has started her period and is beginning puberty, Senga makes sure to tell Afia that although her body can get pregnant, that doesn't mean she is ready to get pregnant. Specifically, Senga explains that it is better to wait until Afia is older. This scene encourages young girls to wait until they are older, in a relationship, and financially stable to have a family. Afia imagines her older self in love with the man and employed as a healthcare worker. Afia feels empowered and confident. She has an understanding of how her body works and tells her friends about it at school. Here, we are empowering young girls to continue going to school after starting their period. We are also highlighting again the importance of community and talking with others. Afia advocated for herself when she sought out Senga for help, and this ending scene illustrates her success in doing so. Instead of feeling confused and uncomfortable about this stage of life, we hope that this first module will help young girls better understand their changing bodies and give them the agency and control to continue with their education and wait to start a family.
Our second module is called Senga's Story because Senga is telling a story of how she started a family. The art images aren't quite ready yet for modules 2 and 3, but I'll be outlining the storyline of them both. This module starts with Senga finding a loving partner. When they decide to have sex, they use condoms and go to the health center for STI testing to protect themselves. Before they were ready to have children, Senga got Cyanopress, which is an injectable contraceptive that would prevent pregnancy. Years later, Senga and her husband made the decision together to start having children, making sure to visually space out her births. We depict this idea by making sure that her children visually differ in age to depict child spacing. This is because repeated pregnancies in a short time increases the risk for certain health complications, including premature labor, severe bleeding, preeclampsia, and uterine rupture. Module 3 is about Afia and Senga going to the health center to make sure their bodies are healthy. Afia gets her first HPV shot, but the nurse emphasizes that a second dose is needed. We tie this into cervical cancer as HPV is the most common cause of cervical cancer, and the shot is a prevention mechanism. Senga gets checked for cervical cancer at the clinic using visual inspection of acetic acid, and the nurse explains that it needs to be done every 3 years. The nurse also educates them on the symptoms, risk factors, and treatment, ensuring the audience learns that if caught early, cervical cancer is treatable. The moral of the story is that taking care of your body is a lifelong process, but with the help of others, you too can stay healthy and keep your body safe. In the next few months, we plan to finish Module 3 and create a survey to gather data on the efficacy of the app. The artist will make graphics for Modules 2 and 3. The team of engineers will code the app and embed the surveys. And finally, we plan to send a completed app to Uganda with Susan in May. Concluding our presentation, we'd like to thank Susan Stassi and the Rose Academies team, our public health advisor, Dr. Parker, our artist, Laura Fernandez, and the team of engineers that will make this all possible. And if there's enough time, we now welcome any questions you may have.
Wow. Amazing. I actually had the privilege of viewing this a week or so ago, and I just fell in love with the graphics, first of all. I looked at the girls in their uniforms, and this, the whole thing is just Santa Clara University and the students, and they just make our job that much easier. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so now I'm still in America, and I'm going to be introducing our global youth ambassador for Rose Academies, and it's Miss Anisha Asana. And I got her bio just a while ago, so let me read what she has to say. Again, the thing of old age is your sight kind of goes. So I have multiple glasses. Okay, so good morning. Here is my current bio. Okay, Anisha Asana is a student at the Harker School and a youth advocate. She is passionate about social justice and human rights and aspires to make a positive difference in the world. She has conducted extensive academic research into African societies and aid relations between Africa and the West. As a constituent of the Silicon Valley chapter of the United Nations Association of the United States of America, Anisha has advocated for social justice to California Representative Ro Khanna, and she now serves on the board of directors for Rose Academies as a global youth ambassador. And it's with great pleasure that I am handing this over to Anisha. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you, Ms. Stassi. Hello, everyone. My name is Anisha Asana, and I'm the Global Youth Ambassador of Rose Academies. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of the panelists for their speeches. It is a true honor to be here and to be presenting alongside all of you. I want to start by saying that Rose Academies is honestly expansive and multidimensional in a truly amazing way. It is almost impossible, I think, to describe the vast range of its work with any sort of brevity, because it's so complicated and so helpful in so many ways that brevity would really do it a disservice. Truly, in every conversation I have with Ms. Stassi and with our colleagues, she announces new programs and new insights that would be life-saving and revolutionary to the quality of life of rural Ugandans. So thank you so much for having me on this panel. One of my favorite aspects of Rose Academies is that it provides a platform for sustainable education to address a variety of needs in Uganda, from healthcare to vocational and agricultural education, rather than singular needs. Rose Academies also provides culturally accurate aid to women in rural Uganda, rather than sending aid without setting up sustainable solutions. As a young trans non-binary person, I especially understand the importance of accurate and accessible healthcare education. My experience of being queer as a kid and as an adolescent was not only about the more well-known processes of coming out, but it also sparked a years-long search for vital information about my health and my identity. I discovered that even in the 21st century Silicon Valley, misconceptions about the LGBT community were widespread, and reversing these misconceptions was key to empowerment. So even though my lived experiences differ immensely from that of Ugandans living in remote villages, I can see that the work that Rose Academies does is necessary and very valuable. I've grown up, like I said, in the 21st century Silicon Valley with enormous privilege. I've always had access to the internet and electronic devices and electricity itself, which even some of Rose Academy's office don't have, such as our brand new sorority office. I've also had access to healthcare and schooling my entire life. So obviously my situation is very different from, for example, a young girl in a rural village in Uganda. Whenever information is not directly presented to me, I've been taught and given the resources to seek it out for myself. On the contrary, most girls in rural Uganda are raised to become wives and mothers rather than being encouraged to seek education. Stigmas about menstruation especially contribute to discouraging people who menstruate from staying in school during and after puberty. And this is a shocking fact, I think, to most people in the West. According to UNICEF, girls from rural Ugandan towns cite menstruation as the primary cause for truancy in the transition to higher education, often because people on their periods are not allowed in certain spaces because they are considered unclean or shameful, or the pain and overall discomfort from period symptoms are unbearable due to the lack of access of treatment. The menstrual hygiene program of Rose Academies is absolutely necessary for female empowerment for 3 reasons. First, and most obvious, is health. It allows people on their period to menstruate with comfort and dignity and to understand which symptoms might be indicative of a medical problem. Second, this program allows people to pursue education, leading to academic and economic empowerment for women. Lastly, simply by providing lessons on the nature of menstruation, Rose Academies works to eradicate harmful social stigmas and superstitions about it, and to raise awareness and knowledge about menstruation. As I mentioned, Rose Academies has a truly multidimensional approach. So it would teach young Ugandan girls, for example, that menstruation is not shameful or unclean, as well as helping someone who lives with AIDS as a result of perinatal transmission of HIV fully understand their disease without stigmatized misconceptions. Rose Academies also offers amazing applications such as the ones presented by Dr. Michelle Parker and her students. It is truly a huge honor to work for such a fantastic organization. Thank you for having me on this panel and for listening.
Yes. I love the Asana family. They're all brilliant. And Anisha, you continue to show all of us that the power of youth. I love it. So with that, I'm going to pass over to another young change maker that is over in Nigeria. And this is Raymond Jima Ukwa. And he is a globally recognized advocate for women's rights and social justice in his efforts to put an end to the harmful traditional practices of female genital mutilation and gender-based violence. He has served in leadership positions both locally and internationally and sits on several advisory boards. He currently serves as programs manager of Vicar Hope Foundation, and as the response lead and coordinator, he continuously works to improve response and prevention to cases of gender-based violence in Abia State, Nigeria. Raymond's speaking engagements have given him global recognition for his stance on ending female genital mutilation and gender-based violence, resulting in several awards and recognitions, including the United Nations Stand Up and Take Action campaign. It is a great honor to have Raymond here with us today to talk about his efforts to end violence against women. And there you go, Raymond. Take it away.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon from Nigeria. Well, thank you for putting this together. And obviously, gender-based violence and the protection of rights of women and girls are part of my very core primary responsibilities and passion. And ensuring that we have a more robust ecosystem that women are also contributing fully in their capacity to ensure a just society. And beyond that, again, is the place of Africa. If we have to understand holistically from the history, is to understand that women are always subjugated in areas where they could perform optimally. And part of my work is to ensure that one, as a man, and of course the only man on the panel today, is to also show that support and also bring in the perspective that women will have to come to their full potential and also to be allowed by men. So that noted, I think I like the part of the conversation. Please, can you mute your mic? Well, I like the part of the work that Rose Foundation is doing, because of I think it's necessary for us to extend knowledge to rural women. But I'll talk about my work in three parts, and why I feel it is very necessary for us to approach whatever we are doing from the knowledge angle. One is, it's not just enough for us to provide information for women and girls. For example, you could tell the rural people that it's okay to, or there is a smartphone that allows you to make financial transactions using your mobile phone. that is an information they know. But beyond having that information, there is one other part of understanding how to use the information they have. And so the part of what we are doing in, the work that I do is to also, tell women what to do with the information they have. So for instance, yes, we know that you can make financial transactions from your mobile phone, but this is how to do it. But then again, it has to also go beyond, showing them how to do it. So for instance, in Africa, when we are learning in our early ages, when they teach us A, B, C, and D, they tell us that A is for apple. But then again, in our environment, we are not always seeing apple readily. Apple is something usually for the very educated, rich people. In our rural areas, for instance, in Nigeria, apple does not grow here. So what if we begin to teach the people and women A, B, C, and D with the things that they can readily, associate with that in their environment? And I feel that with that, when you give them the information and you teach them how to use the information, and then you allow them, to contribute on the use of the information you've given. For instance, it's not, can we not talk about Apple? Can we talk about something else that is available to us around here? It makes it comfortable for them to have conversations around their periods, around gender-based violence, around whatever it is. So the ideology we are bringing to the table is to ensure that women are contributing, beyond just the information they are given. They're also understanding why they need to have certain conversations. So in Abia State, I work as the response lead for gender-based violence. Part of what we've done in the past is to ensure that women are contributing to the response pathways, what they desire could work for them. Before now, HIV interventions, for instance, used to put up pictures of people who look like skeletons and all that. But then again, it became, at a long run, it became an issue for those who were living with HIV and AIDS, because it ultimately stigmatized them and all that. So in order to undo the harm that has been done, another approach was brought to it to show people who are living healthy despite being with HIV and AIDS. So that's an approach we are using instead of survivors of FGM or gender-based violence being represented in a certain way that discriminates them. Can we also empower them with information that they can also lead their lives despite circumstances that they found themselves? And again, we also need to build the courage of women and girls to be able to talk about things that they face in their homes, because somehow they are beginning to believe that these things are what should be, or the things that should live with them. We need to, start, passing down knowledge to tell them what else is possible and what else is required of them, rather than just living with FGM or being abused by a man or being raped and just keeping quiet. There are systems that you can talk to that should be able to protect you. And when it comes from, the angle of a man like me who is championing most of these initiatives, I begin to see differently. And that's what we've been able to do in Abia, for instance. So Bell's institutions that respond to gender-based violence also allows them to express, set up, some sort of, safe homes and safe places where they can talk about whatever they are going through. And then we've seen a tremendous, amount of engagement from these people who eventually are tired. But of course, they were part of, building a sustainable framework that allows them to live healthy lives. And so with that knowledge that empowers them, they're beginning to build their own societies, they're beginning to engage with the systems, and they're also beginning to aspire more. So in conclusion, I feel that women are one of the most powerful people who are living on the planet, and the world cannot exist with the amount of power that they bring to the table. And I feel that if we begin to eliminate most of these harmful traditional practices and limitations and bars, that's been put to limit their possibilities, I feel we'll have more engaging and more prosperous society. And that is why we're working to ensure that we do what we do. That's my introduction. Thank you.
Oh my, that was fabulous. Ooh. And then this is a segue over to another Nigerian. Let me introduce Evelyn Chioma Joseph. And she is my new partner with SERP Nigeria. She's an aspiring and innovative young woman who is passionate in her efforts to give women and girls freedom from all forms of violations against their human rights. She has worked in the development sector for many years, managing and implementing programs focused on sexual and reproductive health, drug abuse, dependency, and prevention, HIV/AIDS, and gender-based violence. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and continually adds to her professional experience in the field of public health and gender studies. Evelyn is the program manager, as I said, of our new partner, Society for the Improvement of Rural People, or SERP, located in the Enugu state of Nigeria. So welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure being here today to speak on the work we've been doing over the years. And I also want to appreciate all the speakers, Rose Academy, and my colleague here from Nigeria for all the wonderful works we are doing around ensuring that the lives of women and girls are improved and they are safe anywhere, anytime. Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. Okay. Now to just introduce part of what SERP Nigeria has been doing in Nigeria to ensure that women and girls are safe. Part of the work we've been doing are engaging men and boys as a great ally in ending gender-based violence, because they are critical stakeholders we need to engage to ensure that the issues of women and girls are resolved. How do we engage them? We engage them through trainings, engaging these stakeholders, providing them with information, the right information, and also engaging them to see that these harmful traditional practices, is eliminated in their communities. Because we've discovered over the years that just engaging women, training women, providing them with the skills to end, especially female genital mutilation. We've had hitches along the way because you have to train them. They still go back to their husbands, these men who have made these laws, who are upholders of these cultures and norms. So we've decided to engage these men because we've seen that a strategy that works is by engaging these men. Let men be the one to talk to men. So we train them to become champions, allies in our communities as change makers, to be able to begin to change these harmful norms and traditions that affect the life of women, child marriage, FGM, gender-based violence in general. Then also, we've also engage women as well, because we've seen that there are women that are upholding these cultures in their communities. So we use social and behavioral change and communications strategy to educate these women, to train them to become change makers. Because, for instance, in some communities where the engagement of cotton females are involved, you find out that the grandmothers, the mothers, are most of the people that uphold this culture. So if you don't engage them, that means engaging the young mother is also defeated. So we also engage these young women to also, these older women, to also eliminate this practice. We also engage men because also to end toxic masculinity, because we've discovered that most of the gender-based violence are being perpetrated by men. So what do? We try to start from the scratch to, bring out those trainings to them, bring out these issues and let them identify and find solutions to how best to, to end those issues. So we talk about male child preference, because it's an issue that scale up child marriage and girl child education abandonment and other traditional practices. We also talk about gender roles, not assigning a particular role to women and a particular role to boys. So let everyone, the whole gender, be involved. We also talk about harmful practices and patriarchy. These are part of the programs we have for men and boys to ensure that they end toxic masculinity. Also, we engage men and health workers to talk about the issue of sexual and reproductive health rights. By in our programs in the health facilities, we try to bring in men during the antenatal services and immunization services of women. Previously, only the mothers come with their babies, but we find out our program how we integrate men coming with their wives, so that we use that opportunity to talk about the issue of sexual and reproductive health rights. We talk about family planning. We talk about the child spacing. We talk about FGM. We talk about a lot of sexual reproductive health right issue. And by these men being involved, you find out that it becomes an easy thing for the woman. Then we also empower women and girls through skill acquisition and girls, especially in menstrual hygiene management and hand-on skills, how to make reusable sanitary pads. Because in our communities, in our rural communities, we find out that menstruation prevents some girls from coming to school, and access to these usable products. It's also a case because of when you talk about the economy, you talk about the price of these commodities. So what we do for them to, have their period dignified is by helping them, provide them with how to make this reusable pad by themselves, and also provide trainings, best way to hygienically manage them. Then also we provide HIV prevention, education, counseling, commodities to key populations, especially adolescents and young women and girls. We provide this education because at a time during the COVID-19, we experienced a surge in rape cases and sexual violence of young women and girls. So by providing them with this education, also help to let it be a prevention strategy that we are also doing. Also, part of what we are also doing is referral services for gender-based survivors. We liaise with the sexual assault referral centers in our states to provide these services to survivors. Then also, part of the important thing on the side of the government and policy is by engaging government on gender responsive budgeting, where we hold the government accountable to ensure that there is a budget line for issues that concern women and girls. For instance, take for issues of menstrual hygiene, the issues of budgeting to end child marriage, and the rest of them. That's part of what we have been doing. Like I said before, majorly we are engaging with men and boys because we've discovered that they are great allies, they are key stakeholders to ending this gender-based violence in our community. So part of my conclusion is that we need to advocate more. We need to increase our interventions with men, because we've seen it's a strategy that works. We need to engage them. We need to start from the scratch to begin to break down some gender norms and patriarchy that prevents women or that scale up these issues of gender-based violence. Thank you. I don't want to exceed my time. Thank you.
Oh my.
Over to you, then.
Every single one of you have met or exceeded my expectations for today. Wow. I know I have a lot of questions. I haven't seen any coming through in the chat, but I want to ask our listeners right now, if you have any particular questions that you have for our speakers, and if you can raise your hand or let me know that, or put your question in the chat box. Let's see here. Anyone? Let's see, no hands up. I have a listening to Raymond. I have a question, if you don't mind. I'm curious when you're talking about these survivors or the girls that have gone through and suffered from violence, or and you're saying about safe houses. What is your recommendation? We don't have really such a program in at Rose Academies, and I would welcome any ideas that you might have as far as what you recommend for these cases, because they're just mental health is such an issue. Raymond?
Thank you, Susan. Yes, it's necessary um, for us to have a safe house, more like not necessarily a permanent residence for people who have gone through, abuse or gender-based violence. It's just maybe a transitioning a place where they can receive maybe medical or mental health, or mental health checks, or also the place where they can have conversations about what they feel, or if they are still unsafe in the place where they came out from. It could be a temporary place until maybe there are governmental or institutional engagements for them. So usually it's not supposed to be a very big place. It could be maybe some, depending on the locations, again, it could be maybe an apartment, or that could have a place where they can sleep over, for a kitchen where they can have their meals on the bottom, a therapist that's readily available to talk to them, to help them through the pain or the trauma of what they have gone through. Again, so that's what the safe houses are supposed to do for girls, women and girls who've gone through abuse. It's just a place of transitioning until we find or we reintegrate them into their families or somewhere safer, moving forward.
Yes, and we have started in our surveys. We are starting to ask the participants in our workshops, and this is just like Evelyn was saying about encouraging all people to participate. We're asking if they have issues that they would like to discuss. I see Heidery's hand is up. So Heidery, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Susan. My question goes to Evelyn. I would like her to share with us like some of the challenges that have been facing when they're trying to do these empowerment programs with the women. Are there challenges they are facing in executing those interventions, and also how do they overcome them? Because out of experience with those academies, of course, we interface with some challenges, bringing women together to meet in a group and also have them believe in the programs. So has she interfaced with any challenges? If so, and how do they overcome them?
Evelyn, are you there? There you are. Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't get the question. I had a little network issue. I was trying to get the question. Can he just come again, please?
Yes, Evelyn, my question is mainly about when you're executing programs in Nigeria, are there challenges you face to have women participate in your interventions as the organization? And also, how have you managed to overcome those challenges? Because bringing people together and doing field work, it comes around with so many challenges, but sometimes some might be pragmatic, others could be from the side of the beneficiaries. It's just for our learning point of view as Rose Academies. There could be something we could take from your solutions to some of the challenges you're facing, because one reason I feel they could be still similar to our side as well.
All right, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, definitely. There have been challenges. Just like what I stated earlier, that previously in our engagements with communities in ending female genital mutilation, we've been engaging women, to educate them on the harmful effect of FGM, the long and the short-term effect, and health and other related issue of FGM. But as time goes on, we discover that the impact is not that felt, because these women have husbands, have rulers, have different stakeholders at the community who are male, who are also upholding this culture, who they need their permission to also begin to change some of these norms. So it became a challenge, because you can't just engage a woman and tell her about FGM. Sometimes she doesn't have that much power to begin to affect that change that you want. So that is why we now started engaging with men and boys, educating them on all this, and begin to raise them as allies and champions. Raise them as allies and champions to begin to champion end of this FGM and other harmful traditional practices. And we've seen that as a strategy that works, because most times when a man is talking to another man about the harmful effect of FGM, okay, they tend to, act upon it, you understand, than a woman speaking to them, because one, you look at the culture, all right, we look at the culture as a barrier. So we now navigate around that angle by engaging with men and boys. So for the issue of gender roles in the family, we need to also educate men why it's important to share equal roles. Not it's a woman's role to cook, it's a man's role to do this and that. So when we engage with these men, we found out that it's a strategy that is working. And by also using social behavioral change communication techniques to also bring this intervention to the community has also worked. So it's a strategy that we've used to navigate some of those challenges that we've encountered. That is one of it. I don't know if I should also state all that, but let me just take this for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So are there any other questions? Only one was Heidery. So we have about 9 minutes left, and I wanted to to ask each one of our panelists if you could give your basically your call to action, and just real briefly, so that we can have each one of you talk, and I'll start with Claire.
Thank you so much. I really want to first of all thank the team from Santa Clara University. You guys are amazing. This new app is, oh my gosh, it is so cool, and I can't wait. I can't wait to introduce it in the field. Yes, and everyone else that has really supported us, that has supported our programs, we are really, really so grateful. Thank you so much. Well, basically mine is just to call upon everyone to continue to support women's economic empowerment. And women in the rural communities are really going through a lot. They are going through a lot. And as much as we are trying to involve the men and having so many challenges involving them, we are not giving up. We shall not give up. We shall continue to bring men on board to support the women. I just remembered recently in one of our trainings, a woman came with a baby, and this child has gone through so much. The child was malnourished. The child had a physical impairment. And she told us that that child had never gone for immunization. Reason because the man kept her and the baby locked away, and he couldn't let them access any medication or any vaccines. So she told us that the only way she could come out, or she just recently came out when she heard that we were in the area, and it was because the husband died. So I'm very sure there are so many other women like her out there suffering, and I would really so much request everyone, our donors out there, to continue supporting us, and we do much more out there. We are just in 4 districts, and out of around 100 plus districts here in Uganda, we are just covering a very small part. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire. Mastula, are you still on here? Let's see here. Which one? Oh, she's on 2, I think. Oops. Mastula. Well, let me pass over to, oh, somebody. Did she unmute? No. How about Dr. Parker?
Well, I might be coming from a very biased academic place, but I'm with Raymond, and I think educating the men is so important. I say educate everybody, and giving women not just education, but that internal confidence to advocate for herself. And that's very much that one-on-one work that Claire and your interns do. And it's so important.
Yep. Thank you. Students, you got anything you would like to contribute? I'm amazed at the work that you're doing. I'm so grateful. Anika, Madison, Kristen.
I absolutely just agree with everything that's been said. We want to focus, I can speak for hopefully all 3 of us, just empowering young women. Our main goal is to reduce those cervical cancer rates, but as we've mentioned, through working with the app, we've learned there's so many steps to getting to that point. So just focusing on all the little things leading up to that. We've talked about menstruation, we've talked about advocating for themselves, vaccines, just everything holistically. So we're super excited. Thanks everyone for contributing, and the comments have made us all feel really good. So we're all very excited.
Oof. Yeah, me too. Anisha.
Hi. So I suppose my call to action would be to continue with everything that Rose Academies has been doing. It's just astounding to see like all the new programs that pop up all the time. And to all of the listeners, I hope that everyone like continues to support Rose Academies in all of our adventures.
Thank you. And Raymond?
Okay. Well, thank you, Rose Academy, for having me. It's been quite an exciting conversation. And um, like I mentioned earlier, my call to action is there's a need for us to use local approaches to, tackle cultural issues. So if people can identify with them, then they can bring in their local knowledge and tackling those issues. I think that's what we need to keep doing. And as a man, we need to bring in more men into the conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. I just was really delighted that we had a man on our panel. So thank you, Raymond, for being here. And thank you for all of the other men that have joined us today, too. And I know that some of our team members are watching us on Facebook. So I have that being recorded. And then finally, Evelyn.
All right, thank you so much. Susan, I'm so delighted to, hear about these app programs, and it's very, very helpful. Though I still need to, work on, being able to use them, because I'm still having some challenges, but I'll speak to you about that later.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, my call for action, just to add to what my colleague Raymond have said, is to engage more men to become allies to ending gender-based violence, because we've seen it's a strategy that works. And also we need there should be more funding. We all know that there's dwindling of funding to these areas because of the surge of COVID-19. But we're also soliciting for more funds to be able to carry out this program and carry it effectively. But even at that, we also need to do whatever we need to do within our reach to also ensure that women and girls issue, does not suffer. So I'm so grateful for this program, and to all of us, we are so wonderful. Let's keep doing what we can do from our own little end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And, thank you, Evelyn, for bringing that up. It has been such a difficult last couple of years for everyone. And yes, funding is down, and we are not alone, I guess, in always trying to build up our donor base and funding so that we can continue, so that we can reach out to those remote areas where these individuals are suffering. And I am just really excited about our new developments that we have in this region. It's Cervical chapter that we just opened up this office, and we will be offering programs for men and women. So I have taken your comments today, Raymond and Evelyn, to heart, because I want to see how we can include the men more in the conversation, because after all, it takes two, last time I checked anyway. And that's the strength. The family strength is based upon from all persons to be involved. And so we are at our time limit, and I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. I've recorded our session, and I hope that you will continue doing what you do, because it's so needed. And I really appreciate the support. And with that, I think I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good night, and thank you again.